my friends, today we're going to look at how to convert between customary units of measure. We're going to use both volume, length, and mass. And we're going to use something that's called a ratio table. And a ratio table allows us to record information that we know to help us solve a more difficult problem. So we're going to try this with volume first. How many pints are there in 4 quarts? So I see pints and quarts. Those are my 2 units that I need to use in my ratio table. Now I'm going to put the larger unit first, and quarts is larger. Then I'm going to write pints. Now I need to think about what I already know about quarts and pints. So I'm going to create my gallon man as a reminder. I'm not just going to go up to the information that I need. So I know there's 4 quarts in a gallon. Then in each gallon I have 2 pints, and that's all I need to know. So I know already, and I always start with what I know, that 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. Now I want to see a pattern, and I'm noticing that I double the amount of quarts to pints. So I'm going to put a little times 2 in here, because that's how I got from quarts to pints. So now I have an easier way to figure out how many pints are in 4 quarts. So I'm going to write down next the number 4 under quarts, because that's exactly what it has in my problem. And now, because I already created a pattern, all I need to do is 4 times 2 to figure out how many pints I have. And that's a quick and easy answer of 8. We're going to try this several more times with volume, length, and mass, so you can get used to using the ratio table. So I'm going to erase this so we can fill it in for our next units. So for our next one, how many quarts are there in 3 gallons? I'm going to circle my units, quarts and gallons. In a ratio table, I write down the larger unit first. Gallons is larger, and I can refer to my picture again to see that the G is bigger, and then quarts. And I always write down what I know first. And I know that 1 G, 1 gallon, has 4 Qs, or 4 quarts. And now I want to create a pattern here. So how did I get from 1 to 4? So I know that I multiplied by 4, and that's going to be my pattern. So I can already write that underneath so I can follow that pattern. And 1 times 4 is 4, and I can do that with the information that I was given. I have 3 gallons. So I'm going to put 3 under gallons. 3 times 4 is 12 quarts. And I have my answer. Now I'm going to move on, and we're going to talk about the same thing using a ratio table with length. So let's read what we have in length. And I'm going to change my color so we know that we're using a different form of measurement. Length. How many feet are there in 3 yards? I'm going to circle my units, feet, and yards. Yards is bigger, so that goes first. And I'm going to write down what I know about yards and feet. And I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. And I'm going to think now, what's the pattern? What do I multiply to get from 1 to 3? And I know 1 times 3 equals 3. So I'm going to write that in again. It's going to stay the same because it's a ratio table. And I'm going to reread my problem to see what number I fill in underneath yards. How many feet are there in 3 yards? So I'm going to write 3. So 3 times 3 equals 9 feet, and I have my answer. Let's try it again for a different set of length units. How many inches are there in 6 feet? Again, we find our units inches and feet. My larger unit goes first. Feet, inches. I write down what I know first. 1 foot is 12 inches. Now, how do I get from 1 to 12? I multiply by 12. That's my pattern. So I'm going to bring that down right away. I'm going to reread now to find out what my key number is. How many inches are there in 6 feet? I'm going to put 6. Now 6 times 12. I may have to take a little bit longer for this one, but 6 times 12 is 72 inches, and I have my answer. We're going to try the last unit of measurement in the customary system, mass, with the ratio table. And I'm going to change my color again to show that we're moving to a new unit. How many pounds are there in 5 tons? My units, pounds and tons. I'm going to write down the larger unit first, which is tons, and then pounds. Now I write down what I know about tons and pounds. I know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So I multiply by 2,000. I'm going to write that again because I know the pattern is going to stay the same. It's repeated reasoning, one of our mathematical practices. I'm going to reread that question to see how many tons I need. How many pounds are there in 5 tons? So I'm going to put down 5, and then I'm going to think, 5 times 2,000. Well, I know 5 times 2, so I'm going to cross out those zeros just for now. I know 5 times 2 is 10. And then I'm going to find those zeros again. I have 3 of them, so I'm going to write 1, 2, 3. Now I have 10,000 pounds in 5 tons. Here's our last one. How many ounces are there in 8 pounds? My units are ounces and pounds. Pounds is the larger of the 2 units. Pounds, ounces, and I know 1 pound is 16 ounces. So my pattern is times 16. It's going to stay the same. It's repeated. I'm going to reread it again to see how many pounds I need. How many ounces are there in 8 pounds? So I'm going to write 8. I have to do 8 times 16. Now, you know, that's not something I can do in my head, but I know I can break down this 16 to 8 times 10 plus 6. Because 10 plus 6 is still 16, and I know each of those much better. So I know 8 times 10 equals 80, and 8 times 6 equals 48, and now I can add much easier. 0 and 8 is 8, 8 and 4 is 12. 128 ounces is my final answer. So what I would like you to take away from this video is that we can convert between customary units of measurement or change our units by using a ratio table. And we write down what we know first. We write down what we know, starting with 1, to help us use the ratio table correctly. Good luck, and take your time.